With every generation, one car gets a free pass from me. This is it, the Skoda Octavia. It's basically a car that's often overlooked by people as they buy a Superb or to go off into the other parts of the Volkswagen Group car. This one sits there, being able to do absolutely everything. It looks good as a rally support car. It looks good as a Tour de France support car. It looks good as a standard hatchback. This one is the estate one. This one is the diesel. This is the current 2020 model, which has a massive change to it. And I'm going to find out which one has changed the most. So join me for the rest of this video. Hit the subscribe button, right? But let's find out all about the Skoda Octavia 2020. Okay, well, let's start off looking at the side profile of the car, because in actual fact, if you compare it to a standard Skoda Octavia from 2019, it hasn't actually changed that much down on the side. Still has the same shaped door, still the same sort of footprint on the car. It still looks visually similar to the one that's just leaving us. But this estate model has lots of changes, particularly on the back here. If I bring in my little Sony cam, there's a lot going on with the taillights, which actually has Skoda crystal lighting written in it. And then across the back, the big emblazoned word Skoda. Skoda is actually what it's called, Skoda. You say it with an S-C-H. And then Octavia down on the side. This one has an electric tailgate, so when I press the electric tailgate, you see it opens, and then you can see that massive boot, which I'm going to cut to a picture right now, because my wife, we like second-hand stuff. You know, we buy a lot of second-hand stuff, so we bought a second-hand cabinet. When we bought it, we realized it might not fit in the car, but then, of course, the Skoda just swallowed it, and that's now in my house, all sanded up and done. But in the boot here, we have shopping bag hooks, 4 of them, and then you can drop the seats from inside. You got this little area over here, little area over here, which are really clever little things. These things are very handy. And then underneath this, you have an actual spare wheel, a real size one as well, not a kind of a play one. Electric tailgate again does this. Good solid looking rams there. And down on the side, no PHEV stuff here, boys, diesel. And then underneath here, this is an ice scraper. It's in all Skodas. Looking along the side panel here in the doors, of course, still have the umbrella. Along here, this shoulder line follows all the way along and goes right into the bonnet line. The bonnet line, this is actually bonnet. This bit here, and this bit here is wheel arch. So that's plastic, that's metal, okay? Then I come around the front again, you have the crystal lighting from Skoda, which is here. They've joined up the 4 headlights, so they don't have the divide in the front of it, which is the most important part. I wasn't keen on the divide before that. And then there's a fog lamp, a spot lamp down the bottom here. The grille is kind of enclosed, and then the bonnet line actually comes right down to the front, which in the event of a frontal impact will probably dent the bonnet, but that's par for the course. I love the look of the outside. I think it's very classy, very stylish. Very nice looking car. This one here has a panoramic roof in it on the top. As our diesel unit, which is nice and warm actually. So you see here a lot of VW logos and things on it, is the VW standard unit. Air breather here, or air filter here, battery, fuse box over there, water filler, or screen wash filler. Then you have your radiator hoses and fillers. Air conditioning units, all nicely tucked away, very nicely done underneath here as well, completely painted and finished. Very tidy, very nice. And you can see here, they've been driving around for the week, but actually there's no water intrusion. Did you notice that? None here. There's no drips of water running up inside the bonnet lid to wet this thing. You know what I mean? None of the water gets in. So it's a good shut line. See, there's a good shut line all along the edge. In actual fact, the shut lines in the car are fantastic looking. You can see here, look at that. Perfectly married up. Nice, isn't it? Very good shut line. Let's have a little look on the inside of the infotainment system, which has changed. Let's face it, lads, nobody wants to queue up for anything these days, especially not for bad razors. Harry's founders, Jeff and Andy, were also tired of rubbish razors, so they raised some money and bought a factory in Germany to make some premium versions. The blades have been redesigned for 2020 with 5 blades made from Swedish steel in a German factory. The flex hinge means that the blade stays in contact with your skin. Harry's gave 1% of their global sales to non-profit organisations that provide mental health care for men. Do you know, if you use the order system, you get a free shower gel. All this for $3.95. Right now, honestly, the deal Harry's currently having her trial set is amazing. You get everything you need for a close, comfortable shave, so you'll be supporting my channel by signing up. The close shave, it's really good, honest to God. This razor mixed with the shave gel, which is here as well, you get that $3.95, you pay delivery only on the first shot, and they'll throw in this free shower gel for you on my code, which you'll find the link in the comments down below. That shower gel is on me, boys. Enjoy that. Harry's, really good stuff, really like it. I want more. Start your subscription with a trial set for just £3.95 when you go to harrys.com/Bob Flavin, and you'll also receive a free shower gel. Which has changed a lot. And when I say a lot, I actually do mean the interior is completely different on this one from any other Octavia I've driven. The first and probably most remarkable thing any driver is going to spot is the fact that the steering wheel has no bottom on it. There's no third spoke, and these 2 spokes are only connected up by these little bits here on both sides. You can actually put your finger through there, see, from both sides. So it's pretty different. That steering wheel feels different, visually looks different, of course. And then if I move across here, you see that you've got sort of a textured cloth material nearly, which I haven't seen before in a lot of cars. Very rare that one comes across. And this massive screen, I do wish you'd all blend them in a bit better these days instead of making them stand proud like an iPad that's been clicked in there. And it's just a little thing. I prefer when they're nicely tucked away. Now, one thing I will point out is, so you can see the 2 vents, I have them faced upwards, because when they're faced down like this, they blow cold air right onto your knee and all along your thigh, and you freeze to death. And I know you can turn them off, but that just doesn't work for me at all. If you want them open, I actually have them turned off and up, so they're both faced up like this, because it blows air up over the top of your head. Much more comfortable. I'm not keen on these lower ones. The ones up here work perfectly well at normal height. But anyway, coming down along here, I do get a proper sized glove box, really big one here as well. There's a storage unit in here that has USB-C connector, so I've had to use my little connector in it. And then you've got a sort of an area for storing your phone. So you got USB-C, and you have an area here for storing your phone. This is right in here as well. Not wireless charger, probably specable as a wireless charger in fairness to it, but that's not one. This one just has a plugged in wired connector to it, which I'll plug in right now because we're going to look at Apple CarPlay as well. Anyway, moving down, you have this thing for changing the gears, which is fine. It's just a selector. And then behind that we have, oh look, I had a Tonux thing. Anyway, 2 cup holders, which are too small, Skoda. They're not big enough. Sorry. They're okay, but they're not big enough. Handbrake and parking brake is up here. That turns off the auto handbrake. Then back here we have a bigger storage unit with no USB ports. Seats are absolutely outstanding, and I mean so comfortable yet supportive. Look at that bolster there just on the side of it. It's just a lovely bolster, and on both sides, so it holds you quite well this way and holds you quite well on the bottom half as well. Really good. Will be good for the VRS. Let's start it up for a second. Instead of, as usual, Skoda has done this again, the button over here instead of a keyhole, and then you get all the lights and things popping on. I've pushed the brake, didn't start. There it starts now. Then we have the compass coming on. My phone has begun to charge. Skoda logos come up. Now this is where things start to become a little bit undone. The infotainment system, it's still pretty buggy in places. So you can see now Apple CarPlay is starting to come up here. And we've got it. So this time it worked. Other times I just get a black screen. That could be a fault of my phone. I've updated to iOS 14. Maybe this needs updating as well. Some other little things that are in it. You can see all the air conditioning system is across here on a little screen at the bottom. So heated seats and temperatures here, auto climate. But I do have a physical set of buttons down here as well. This one, climate, brings up, doesn't bring up anything. There it goes. Takes a minute, but it did come up, so that brings up the full climate control system. But I'd like to point something out. So you see the sync button. I'm a kind of a weirdo with these things, right? So if I'm in the car on my own, I like the two sides of the car to be the same temperature. I don't want the car to be working harder on that side when there's nobody here. And so 99% of the time I'll turn on the sync mode and leave it on. And in electric cars, often they will cut off that side when there's no seatbelt closed. But I have pressed the sync button multiple times, and you can see the word sync now appears, right? But if I turn off the car, get out, close the door, you see all the little graphics start and all that stuff, tell you about that stuff. Whenever you start the car, oh no, it stayed on this time because for whatever reason. See what I mean about a little niggle here and there? Very annoying. That comes on 99% of the time. When I've stopped this car before, that comes on and the sync has been removed again. Just little things, little small things that would just drive me insane as an owner, because I like vents lined up and I like things the way I want them. Now, there is user settings in this that I can't alter because this is a press car, so this is kind of locked down for those alteration things. So you can go in and change some settings and stuff, and there is a software update available from this thing, which I can't do either because obviously, again, I'm not a user of the car, so it's not up to me to do that. It's up to the press fleet to do that sort of stuff. So we'll get there. Now you can go into other settings as well, like tire pressure, start stop systems. If you go into home here, it brings you back to this screen, which is kind of cool as well, because this is showing you Apple CarPlay, what is playing right now, but it's not showing you Apple CarPlay, if you follow what I mean. So when you raise your hand, you can see the words appear when you put your hand up near it. See them disappearing there, and then you put your hand up near it and they appear again. Cool. That's cool. I like that stuff, right? Now it all works, but I do miss my temperature controls being on a proper knob here. There is a plus over here, but that turns up the volume. See the plus and the minus? See that there? That does the volume on the radio. So to turn off the air conditioning, you have to use the little plus and minus on the actual machine here itself. But it's a bit hit and miss in places as well, you know. And when you put your hand up like that, you go back to Apple CarPlay anytime, which works perfectly, by the way. Apple CarPlay is very, very good. You might check out part of the channel here as well is to go into Noah, which is a good little app. It's a news read over audio, so you can have your news read out from different sources, like Washington Post, the Irish Independent, Irish Times. If you're a news hound, if you're interested in the modern news of things, this is very like audible, so it reads out the whole thing to you. It's very, very good. And like I say, 50% discount. Click the link down below. All right, let's just have a look at the back seat before we go for a spin in the car, right? So back seat is very cool. We get these little pockets back here for small phones. So you can put a phone or a small tablet or something in there, but you also have a bigger map pocket attached to that as well. So you got a big pocket, a little pocket matched into one. Headrests aren't too intrusive, so you can see out the front when you're here. I have two vents here, so it allows me to open and close the vents so I can make the air on and off, but I can't control the temperature. And there's two USB-C ports down there at the bottom. That's okay. Everything's going USB-C now. Of course, you have to buy new cables and everything. Headroom wise, tons of space. This little LED light is here for me, and I have a coat hanger and a handle as well. And of course we have the glass roof, which is also attached here, which is right above your head. Really brightens the back half of this car. I'd say without that roof it would be kind of dark back here, but not overly so. We have a center armrest, which is very pleasant, huge as well. And we have the load lift through here as well, or load through, so it allows you access to the boot. And you put that back up. You've also got cup holders on this with a pen holder in it, which I guarantee will be broken. Just thought I'd tell you that. I just can't see that surviving family abuse, which is quite normal for families to start abusing a car. And being a Skoda, the seats fold, not flat. It's not a flat floor. I did this the other day with the cupboard in there, and it's definitely not a flat floor. This lip here, this quite big lip here, does stick up a lot, so not getting a flat floor in this one. Anywho, let's go for a spin. So driving is, as always with a Skoda, very nice. For some reason the wipers decided to wipe it down. What's that mean? Parking braking maneuver unavailable. Don't know what that means. We'll ignore that and trundle on, because As you can see, moving your hands around the steering wheel is actually quite easy because you don't hit anything other than where your hands are normally supposed to be, which is kind of nice actually. I thought it was a bit gimmicky at first with the piece missing off the steering wheel, but it's actually not. It's quite nice. So, Portlaoise traffic isn't always the easiest thing to deal with, but it's usually pretty good. Now I have a problem with the gearbox. When it's cool, when it's cold, and I'm taking off first, sometimes at lower speeds it finds it difficult to choose a gear for me. It's not quite sure whether it wants first or second, or maybe third. And every once in a while it'll flip from third to first, just out of nowhere. It just goes, rah, and starts to roar. Now that settles down after a bit, but it happens every once in a while. Other factors, well, the rear suspension is really soft now, Skoda. I'm not sure what you're doing with that. Same thing in Superb. I found that it's getting softer and softer down the back all the time. And sometimes it feels a little bit seasicky over certain speed bumps. So when these shelf ones, I've actually come down this way because there's kind of a bridge type one here ahead of us that I'm going to go over. So when you go over a speed bump, you brake for it, and then you feel that boing, and the boing continues when you come down off the speed bump. It's very weird. You really need to stiffen that suspension. Now, so what I'm going to let the insider information here is, usually on an international trip, what happens is multiple motoring journalists go along and they give their opinion on the car, and they give us a questionnaire sometimes, or they ask us questions at dinner, or they ask us questions over time. And we sit there and go, yeah, good car, but the suspension's a bit soft. Or, we'll say something in the trip that will trigger off the car company making changes, right? Now, because of pandemic, we have been able to do that. So this is my first drive of this, when this was supposed to be driven, I forget when, back in March or April or something this year, was the final drive. We're supposed to go to Greece, I think, to test it and drive it, but that trip never happened. So because the trip didn't happen, we didn't get to give our opinion internationally. So this is suspension based upon other suspension. And it's a bit soft. So I would expect a few changes to this by the time it actually gets sold to people out there. But when you're on the flat, when you're not going over the millions of shelf type speed bumps that are along here, when you're actually driving along on the flat, it's lovely. It's such a refined feeling drive. It doesn't bounce, it doesn't hop around the place. It's just a lovely car to trundle about in. Dashboard is bright and clear, lovely, and I have a heads-up display as well. Price in this car starts in the kind of high 20s. You can get them cheaper than that, but within reason. Now this press car one is in the 40s, right? So, but this one has absolutely everything on it. This has active cruise control. It has all the bells and whistles you could possibly have. So at the top end of the scale, this is a little over 40 grand. And I love it. I really do. I think it's a lovely, lovely car. If the dice rolled and I was to be stuck with a car again for another pandemic, I wouldn't be worried too much about being stuck with this Skoda Octavia. It's such a nice car to just trundle about it. No sport mode, none of those kind of bells and whistles that you find in other cars that try and hide things on you. This is just a car, and it does a really good job at being a car. What I hope is that Skoda doesn't lose touch with its grassroots, with looking after the people who have looked after it over the years. The alienation of a customer can happen very quickly and very easily to a car company because people feel betrayed by things, and it's down to a sort of dealer network relationship when it comes to Skoda and it comes to that Volkswagen Group feel. The most important part for Skoda is that it doesn't lose that simply clever idea, and it doesn't get too technical about things. I really do think this car, those vents are pretty looking, but I wish they were higher up, and I wish I had a knob to control my air conditioning. It really is very simple. Knobs are probably more expensive, and that's the key here. It's cheaper to do a software knob, if you know what I mean. Well, thank you very much for watching. Hopefully you find out everything you need to know about this Skoda Octavia and forthcoming models of this car as well. There will be electric cars next year coming from Skoda called Enyaq and many others. There's other stuff to come out of Skoda as well. A lot of stuff happening in the background of the group of Volkswagen, so expect more information coming out soon. But this This is where my heart is. This is so efficient and so nice. It just gets on with its job so well. Very happy in this Octavia. No problems with it at all. Thank you very much for watching. Hopefully you have subscribed by now. You know, you should be clicking the subscribe button. I'd really like to reach the 60,000 subscribers because we're really rocketing towards it at this stage. And it'd be great if I can have you along for the journey, because you never know where this is going to go, because all kinds of things are happening in the background. I'd love to tell you all about them, but there is some brilliant information on the way. We will start very soon with some brand new stuff. You can find me on TikTok, believe it or not. We have over 50,000 followers there on TikTok, so come on over. It's good fun over there, actually. It's good crack. You can also find me on Twitter if you want to do that. Instagram, I'm also there if you wanted to see some pictures or some stories or stuff. It's been great crack today to have you along for the ride. Hopefully I've entertained you at some point. Look after yourselves, and until the next time, I will see you on the far side.